Hey everybody, welcome back live at Drew's house, Joppa Afternoon Drive. Hope you're all doing well out there. We are still on school vacation week for the kids, yes, and parents, I'm sure if you're not losing your mind yet, you're probably ready to send them all back to school. But I'm just kidding, you love the kids, but hope you're having a good school vacation week. February vacation, which means spring is right around the corner, warm weather, which I desperately need in my life right now. What I also am very happy to have in my life right now is our next guest, Marc Lacatell. He's a portrait and event photographer. Our paths have crossed quite a bit here in recent years, so I'm very happy I've got to know him on the road, and now we get him to Newburyport. Hello, Marc. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for having me.
Great to see you again. You look great. How is the winter treating you?
It's too cold.
It's been tough, right?
Yeah. I'm not really like a winter sports person, so it's like I'm inside when it's this cold.
Yeah, inside or at a concert somewhere, right?
Or at a concert, yes.
You're just coming off this week. You did was it Jack White at the Roadrunner, was it?
Last night at Roadrunner, sold out crowd. I think 3,500 people.
Yeah.
And he's doing a second show tonight.
Yep.
And it's probably about the 15th time I've seen Jack White, and I just told his team that it was the best Jack White performance I've seen.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
So he's getting it done there at the Roadrunner.
Yes.
It's a cool place. One of the newer Boston venues.
Yep, I like it.
Yeah, there's a lot of new places to see music these days. Actually, I got to meet you at Boston Calling, which is it's not new anymore. It's actually kind of a staple around here now. But what a take that's been over the years, huh?
It's for me, it's definitely like my annual highlight for photography, because the majority of what I do is concert photography. I do a lot of portrait photography as well and some events.
Yep.
But at the heart of it, I got my start doing this photography business, if you will, by doing concerts. When Boston Calling rolled around right after I got started, that was definitely one of my main goals, to get to that show, do that. And I've done it almost every year. It started before I did with my business. But I think this year will probably be my 10th go around with Boston Calling. So I love it. And it's, one thing I tell everyone is I do it a lot for the social aspect of it too. I really enjoy hanging out with the other photographers,
radio guys.
The radio guys. The media people. They treat us really well.
Yeah.
Boston Calling is just great, and I'm looking forward to this year. Can't wait.
I always say it is such a big production. I mean, the names that they have each year. As a photographer, you must just be drooling a little bit, because you get to one-stop shopping, right? You get to see all these great artists come through.
It's when I think of like the cachet that I have of photos, I definitely count on May at Boston Calling to nail 40 to 50 concerts in a 3-day period.
Yeah.
And looking back, it just gives you so many images and so many pictures to work with.
Yeah,
so it's
and
great.
you're right. They do take care of the people that work that event too. Some are better than others. Some festivals are better than others, and Boston Calling really does it right. And I've got to see you in action, because we will sometimes be doing the same thing. I'll be running out to do radio stuff. You'll be running out to do photos. Sometimes we run out at the same time. Sometimes I'm lucky enough to watch you run back and try to download and get new equipment or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's a kind of a
grab a drink.
grab a drink. Yeah. There's a controlled chaos to that line of work that is exciting to see, kind of from that perspective, and I'm sure you enjoy that part of it too.
I do.
And you're right, it is social. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I've met from that festival that I circle back with and do different things and bump into at different places. So here you are, right?
Thank you. Yeah, and this is great. Thanks again for having me.
Oh, it's awesome. You spent a lot of time in Newburyport? You ever?
Probably my first time up here.
Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I've passed through it, but
I've
not been downtown or explored it, and we'll see what happens.
All right,
maybe today.
We got a little time here. You said it's a good day for you. Very good.
Yeah.
What is the key to being a good? Let's stick with the music aspect, because you do a lot of things, but I know you so much through the music circles. What's the key to being a good, solid music photographer?
You really should do a little bit of research before every show, and that could really just mean watching some videos of the band on YouTube. It's really good to understand what the performers might be doing. Typically during the first 3 songs, those are the songs that you normally get to shoot.
Yeah.
If you're allowed up close to the stage.
Those are the rules, and then they move you out usually, or?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Very swiftly too. They don't waste any time. So if you can do a little bit of research, watch some videos on YouTube, see what the performers do for those first 3 songs. Most bands typically do the same set
Yeah.
when they're on tour. They get their set down, they get the music tight. So you can pretty much count on, say, like Bret Michaels from Poison doing a jump at a certain point, or Paul Stanley from Kiss doing something similar, or when he's going to lean down and stick his face in the camera.
Sure.
Exactly at what point of the song. So you do a little bit of preparation. Also, it doesn't really hurt to reach out and talk to other photographers, share some experiences. When I first got started, I read a book called All Access by Alan Hess. It's probably 20 years old at this point, but it's a really good, roadmap to get started.
All right.
Yeah.
You're also saying you're screwed with Dave Matthews this year at Boston Calling, because that set list is never the same.
Well, yeah, but the good thing about Dave Matthews is the guy doesn't really move around that much. So, I photographed him a couple times, and it's pretty standard. He stands by the mic and sings and plays guitar, and so you move around and you get different angles.
Yeah, that's good advice too, right? That's how you do it. What's the over the years? Who do you think has been the most? Do you get pleasure out of like certain shots? Like, has there been one artist that you're like, I genuinely enjoyed that photography better than any concert I've ever been to?
There's a special place in my heart for having photographed B.B. King before he passed away.
Nice.
And I love photographing Buddy Guy when he comes to town. There's just something about that genre of music with the blues.
Yeah.
The expressions on their faces is really great. I don't tend to look longingly at my own photographs. I'm actually quite turned off when other photographers talk about how much they love their pictures.
Yeah.
You have to have a certain humility too. You're constantly learning, and every time you photograph a band, I think you reflect on it afterwards when you see your photographs. There could be so many different variables as to what affects your photos for that night. Could be the lighting, could be whether you're in the pit or the soundboard, if the pit is crowded or if you're in there all by yourself. So many different variables.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, I'll look at my photos and I will initially be very disappointed. I will usually be like, oh man, I really messed this one up.
Really? Yeah.
And then when you sit down and you call the photos that you're going to send to like an editor or back to the band or something like that, you feel a little bit differently about it. And then you get feedback on social media, which is nice. So I guess it's pleasurable for me while I'm photographing. It's really exciting to be. If I'm in the pit, I'm right up against the stage with some fellow photographers who are now friends, and to look back and see everyone in the arena or the stadium or even a small club, and you're the closest person to the band.
Yeah.
And that's exciting. You feel kind of cool.
This is what they see.
Yeah. And that's the best part. That's the best part.
One of those variables too, especially when we talk about festivals and stuff, is weather, right? I mean, you probably had some environments to shoot in, I would imagine. Yeah,
it's when you do the outdoor shoots, it's interesting. I remember one of the first Boston Calling shows we did. I think it was when we were back in Government Center, and it was either the first or second day, and it was just downpouring.
Yeah.
And this goes back to doing some research, and this is when I first got started, and it was highly recommended that you bring, I forget if they call it like a camera umbrella or something like that, like a camera raincoat or something like that.
Yeah.
So I just bought these cheap plastic sleeves that you stick over the lens of your camera to protect your gear.
Yeah.
And even though I was basically a rookie at that point, I was prepared, and I had extras, and I was passing them out to other photographers. So, the weather can be gross. It can also be super hot and disgusting.
That was that 2 years ago with Chapel Roan? That was a hot weekend.
Very hot, very hot.
Yeah.
That's when, unfortunately, people in the pit get to see me in a cutoff T-shirt. And, who knows?
That was a hot day, man.
Yeah. It's gross, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Again, Marc Lacatell joining us. he's a portrait and event photographer. I've met him through so many music circles and concerts here over the years. When you do get to that point where you're down low, you're battling the elements, it's probably good, like I'm just thinking you helping out other photographers, that probably pays off down the line, right? That's a good egg there. We'll keep him around, try to do something for him. It's probably good to make friends in that business, I would think.
Yeah. There's definitely good karma involved in the photography circles. I mean, I have told everyone for over 10 years I've met the nicest people in the photo pit.
Yeah.
Most of us are doing it for the pure enjoyment of the music and photography. Not many of us are making much money off of it or getting paid to do a lot of it. So you're really there for the love, the music, and the art. Yeah. I think back to when I first got started, and one of my first assignments was to go cover the opening act for the Eagles. It's this guy named I want to say Salinger. That's not right. That's an author. Yeah. JD something. Anyway, he had this band called JD and the Straight Shots. Okay. And I was to interview him before the show. And I didn't have a pass to photograph the Eagles. I had a pass to photograph him. Yep. And when I showed up at the venue, which was I still lovingly call Great Woods,
Mansfield. Yeah,
down in Mansfield, the touring manager came out and gave me a working pass, and which means you basically have like all access, to wherever you're going. So I'm sitting there watching the band do their sound check. This is not the Eagles. This is JD and the Straight Shot. Yeah. And not impressed. Just really, the band was a great band because he hired a crack band to sit behind him. Yeah. Then I get to go down, walk up onto the stage. We go to the green room, so to speak, or the VIP area where I'm going to interview him. And this is one of my first assignments. And I've written out all these questions. And all of a sudden, he pulls in the guitar player from the band. His name is Marc as well. I don't have any questions prepared for him because I didn't know he was going to be interviewed. But we're sitting in this room, which has 50 other people in it, including the Eagles. Yeah. And I look around, and I'm like, what's going on? It was the bass player's birthday, so everyone's eating birthday cake. And this is my first interview for Glide magazine. That's who I primarily work for. And JD's sitting there eating cake during the interview. All mumbles. I'm asking him these questions. I've got my phone recording the conversation, and I'm like, this is horrible. This is just absolutely horrible. And I wanted to cut the interview and just go say happy birthday to Timothy B. Schmidt, and go say hi to Glenn Fry and Don Henley. But I was like, I don't know what to do. Yeah. Then I thought that was going to be it. They gave me tickets to the show. I thought I'd just go to my seats and watch the show. I kept the working pass on, went back up to the soundboard, and wound up photographing the Eagles too. Even security came up to me and was like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm working, because I had the working pass. But to answer your question, it was about the circle of photographers and the good karma. Yeah. For that show, I had one camera, I had one short lens, and we were up at the soundboard. And I put a call out to any photographer who'd be willing to lend me a long lens. Yeah, yeah. And one of my friends, Rich, came out, and I'd never met the guy. He's a friend now. Just volunteered his, beautiful, $3,000 lens and said, you can borrow it. And I'm like, this is crazy. But that is what we experience now, is that we loan lenses, we loan insight, we loan contact information. It's a really great circle, family, if you will, that I love, and one of my best friends right now is a photographer that I met in the pit, and he and his wife just welcomed their first child, and good. It's crazy what.
Want a name drop? You could say congrats.
I don't want to embarrass.
All right, fine. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, it is true. I have experienced everybody. If you work in that line of work, everybody experiences it. I mean, a charger. You're draining so much stuff when you're doing this. Like, I need a charger to get one. Like, it's just nice not to have pushback when you're all kind of going for the same goal. So it is a good circle to be in. Again, Marc Lacatell joining us, portrait and event photographer, does so much music stuff. yourself. What else falls under that umbrella? You people call you for like the weddings to do, or
I try to avoid the weddings.
I don't blame you.
For me, it's too much pressure.
Yeah.
I would hate to be the guy that messes up your wedding photos.
I never really thought about that. That is a lot of pressure.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah. But if you want to do family portraits, headshots, I'm game. That's much more manageable, and I do enjoy doing that.
Yeah.
And the other part of the photography world is that you work with people and you work closely with people, and I enjoy that so much. And you get to know people, and then you get the referrals, and you meet their friends, you meet their families. So it's not a bad side hustle. It's good.
When you talked about sending photos to the band, which is a big part of that's many bands tend to ask for that. Show us what you got.
Yes.
They're always looking for certain things, whether it be for down the line or whatever. Have you ever do they tend to give you feedback, or whether it be positive or negative? Have you ever had the good thing where it's like, that's the greatest photo, we might use it as the
There was Joe Bonamassa' team reached out and wanted to use one of my photos.
Oh, nice.
And I wasn't sure quite how to handle it, because this is like one of the first time I'm being asked for them to use my photos. So I asked for some compensation for it.
Yeah.
And, they just want to give you we'll give you photo credit, line. And you, as a photographer, you've got to make sure you're not getting taken advantage of.
Yeah, yeah.
And, through some discussion, we worked out a decent deal, that both parties were happy. I mean, I didn't go buy a fancy dinner that night with the money I made from it, but it's like, you can make money. I prefer to make the connections.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of priceless at times. A little, I'm going to call it quid pro quo.
Yeah.
Just like back and forth.
Yeah.
It worked for my friend last night at Jack White. Jack White does not give up photo passes, and my friend finagled a photo pass.
There you go.
Through his connections, through his experience, through stuff like that. So it pays off. That's the good karma that comes with it all.
What did you said, fairly not late in the game, but this is not what you started out doing. What was the career path for you? Was it?
I am a full-time teacher.
Okay.
I started as an elementary school teacher. I've worked in middle school as well, special education. And that's been great. I've been doing that for 25 years. That's the primary income for me. The photography business is the supplemental, side hustle.
Yeah.
The photography is definitely more exciting and more fun.
Then those kids, come on, you love the kids.
It's great. It's great. Well, and the photography has just opened up so many doors too. Where one school that I worked at, I did all their student photos, and it was not your traditional, blue backdrop, in the corner of some classroom. We went outside, and just probably one of the most rewarding photography experiences I had was photographing, 100 kids and delivering, photos of their kids to their families.
Oh, that is cool.
Yeah.
How is the, we'll sidetrack a little bit here. What is the state of, how is teaching in 2025?
It's interesting. I've been fortunate to teach in a couple different places, public school in Framingham and Newton. And then I did private education at the Perkins School for the Blind. And they're just worlds apart. They're just like the whole, curriculums are very different. The administrations are different. Everything is so crazily different. But now I'm back in public in Framingham, and I love it. I absolutely love it. Just the school that I'm at is fantastic. Colleagues are great. And it's just a nice atmosphere. I've always worked with kids, so it's just natural for me to be and continue to be a teacher. Yeah. And that's probably what I'll retire from, and then continue doing photography to some facet. You know? So
the kids ever ask you about the photography? I bet that's a
The kids who learn that I'm doing a lot of concert work will start to ask about like what bands I photographed and
you met Noah Kahn.
It's interesting when you meet like a second grader who knows very well who like AC/DC is, or Pink Floyd, and you can say like, oh, I just photographed AC/DC, or a middle schooler who's heavily into Led Zeppelin, and they say, oh, did you ever photograph Led Zeppelin? I'm like, no, that band broke up when I was 5, but I photographed Robert Plant. You know, so like you can make those connections, and then these kids are so interested in the photography process as well.
Yeah.
So,
Which has changed so much, right? Because, I mean,
It
I'm
is.
sure they're thinking about this thing all the time,
Yeah.
right? It's like, which does take great pictures.
it can,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't really know how to use the phone on my camera. I probably take the worst, phone photos.
You take the worst phone photos, really?
Oh, probably. Yeah. I like feel just ridiculous when I try to take a picture with them. My own children laugh at me when they see me with my phone, because I'm just used to the camera dialing things in, and I get really serious about it. With the phone, I'm like, how do you do this? Because it's just, I would prefer to use a nice lens and
Yeah.
quality body and stuff. So.
Well, you're probably missing things that you can do with the professional fancy cameras. There's things that are missing on the phone that you're looking for.
There are. Yeah, the phones will do a lot of the work for you.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with the professional cameras, you have to dial things in. You need to know how to use the mechanics of it. To a certain degree. You don't have to understand all the bells and whistles on the cameras, but
Yeah.
some of the basics, and you are going to get a better quality photo. You have more control over it. So, and I'm sure people who use their phones all the time are going to, argue with me, but
Yeah.
I'll take a long lens over that.
You'll
anything.
fight that battle?
Yeah.
What is in the, is that a camera in the bag? What did you bring in there?
I brought some prints.
Oh, can you see some prints?
I don't know how well they'll translate because they're behind, plastic. These are some prints that I had up
See,
in
this camera here would be
in a show.
good for you here.
Oh,
There is Robert Plant.
Robert Plant, Orpheum Theater.
Here, I could pass him this way too, and I can.
Okay.
The Robert Plant one.
This is one of my favorites. This is Willie Nelson. This is when he allowed photography.
Yep.
And it's been a while since he has allowed photography.
Is that true? He doesn't do it anymore?
He has said no for the past several years, and I've begged and pleaded with his manager, and to no avail.
Guy still looks
So,
great.
He's awesome, and he sounds great too. Believe it or not. I was bummed. We were at the Outlaw Festival last year, and he didn't make it.
Oh, that was the Mansfield one. He was sicker. Yeah.
So they just announced the next show. I'll go to that one.
There you go.
Yeah. I like this one of Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top.
Okay, yeah.
Kind of the focus on the beard there. Just you got to get the beard.
Do you remember where that was?
That was House of Blues. That was actually when he was playing with the Kings of
Leon?
No, it was some like all-star band where he had like the guitarists from the Cult.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what the show was called. That was a super low attended show. It was ridiculous.
Really?
Yeah, and it was like, these are all stars. How can you miss it?
Getting into your
One of my
favorites here.
faves, Buddy Guy. I got to briefly meet him in Providence when he got the key to the city. Mm-hmm. And finally, after several years, got him to autograph one of my photos. And I love
nice.
kind of going full circle where you pass the artist one of your photos and you say, would you mind signing it? And
That one looks like he's looking right at you.
Yeah, I mean, me and 35 other people, but yeah, it's cool. It's fun. Derek Trucks.
Oh, yeah.
That's about the standard shot you're going to get of him.
Yep.
He is very focused on the music.
Yeah.
Awesome guitar player. But his better half, Susan Tedeschi, I love this photo. I mean, okay, so I just said I liked one of my photos. I like this one. Susan Tedeschi, Norwell native, hometown hero, just
local
awesome.
flavor here.
Yeah, she's fantastic. Her voice is just incredible. I've seen her, half dozen times, and you just sit back in awe of her voice. Beautiful. One of my faves, Rich Robinson of the Black Crowes, who will be at Boston Calling.
That's right.
And I can't wait for that.
That'll be exciting. There we go. Are they on the list to possibly be inducted into the
Yes. Yeah.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah.
I saw that list drop last week, and they were on. Very cool.
Guitar legend Joe Bonamassa.
Is that the one?
This is a print that we blew up and sold for his charity, which was really cool.
So this isn't the one they asked for.
That is the photo they asked
This
for.
is the one, okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, that was an interesting kind of last minute shot. We were supposed to shoot from the wings of the theater, which was the Providence Performing Arts Center.
Yep, I know it.
And I saw some photographer run down to the stage at the end of the third song, and I followed suit and probably snapped 5 frames, and that was one of them. And
wow, that is a great
that's
shot.
cool.
Nice going.
Thank you. Blues legend Johnny Winter before he passed.
Oh yeah.
That was amazing.
There we go.
Local hero Nuno Betancourt from Hudson, Mass.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Was Nuno born in Hudson somewhere, or is he lives?
Oh, well, he was born in Azores in Portugal.
Yeah, okay.
But I think he moved here when he was like 4 years old.
And he's living in Hudson.
Well, he lived in Hudson. He's in LA now.
Oh, okay. Good. I saw him on stage with Rihanna at one of the Super Bowls there.
Yeah. Nuno's just
of extreme.
Of
obviously.
extreme, yeah. Nuno's just one of literally the best guitarists on the planet.
Yeah.
He can play anything. His technical prowess on that fretboard is just disgusting. It's just unreal.
We had Pat Badger in here.
Oh yeah,
he's from Newbury.
Yeah,
I think I got that right. He's right around here, and so he's a friend of the show. He's come in, and the stories those guys have.
Yeah.
You know?
I've done some work with Pat, some work with Gary Sharon.
Yeah.
Great guys. I mean, honestly, Gary and Pat probably have to be considered 2 of the nicest guys in the business.
It is true. Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Yeah, the thing with them too is they had to. I mean, I remember Pat saying it was almost like overnight. They went from playing the Paradise, or even smaller clubs than that, even like to just blowing up. Like he goes, I don't even really remember how. I remember doing the Freddie Mercury tribute, and then like they were playing another kind of much smaller club. Like a week later, they're like, all right, that brings you back down a little bit. You know?
Right. You know, I've talked to Gary a few times about the Freddie Mercury tribute concert, and I still feel like Extreme came off as one of the best acts.
Yeah.
They opened the whole thing.
I think they were the first band to play Queen music since Freddie had passed away, right?
Yeah.
And like Queen loved them, so they trusted them to do it.
Yeah, I think Nuno and Brian May were friends. They got to know Extreme, whatever, and I think even Brian introduced them as these are real friends, a band that really understands what Queen was all about.
Right.
And that was actually kind of my connection with meeting Gary Sharon. I met him after a show, and I didn't say one word about Extreme other than them performing at the Freddie Mercury tribute concert. And then we started talking about Queen, and then we just kind of hit it off and connected as friends afterwards. I've now known him for like 10 years.
That's awesome.
You know, so just, I mean, I've got some interesting stories about all that. I will say 2 of my favorite shots are Mr. Slash from Guns N' Roses.
Where was this one?
That is at Hampton Beach Casino.
Oh, okay.
Stone's throw from here, I believe.
Yeah, not far.
And then Angus Young when his hair was brown, or at least colored brown, at Gillette Stadium.
Awesome.
So that's that, and it's just ridiculous. After just doing concert photography for about 10 years, I mean, just the amount of photos that I've collected, and those were just like printed to sell at some gallery that I had some work up at, and it was just a great experience.
It is.
Yeah.
What do you do? Do you put all these stuff, like you must throw away stuff that people would die to get their hands on? Do you have a basement full of this stuff? Where does it all go?
Well, most everything is unfortunately just digital and just backed up on the hard drives.
Yeah.
I've got like 60 prints, that are ready to go at any time. You know? So every once in a while, I'll get a request for an artist, and I'll look and see what I've got. And sometimes they'll say like, "Oh, show me everything you've got of this band," and I'll pick the photo, and I'll just kind of gently say, "I'm going to show you the 3 best photos." And you pick the one you like, or let me pick it, because I know which one's the best, and I don't want to edit a junky photo.
Yep.
So it's great.
Yeah. Trust me on this one, will you?
Exactly.
All right. Well, that is fascinating. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Some good photos there. If people want to see more of your work, or Instagram, or wherever you want to send people.
Yeah, I think I mostly post everything on the Instagram, which is at MLAC Photography. Again, I say it's MLAC Photography, M for Marc, LAC for Lacatell.
Yeah.
but most people just say MLAC Photography.
All right,
Easiest
cool.
way to remember it.
Awesome. So we can go find your stuff there. This is your first time on the show,
Yes.
which locks you into you have to do a quick little rapid fire with us.
Okay.
We're going to learn some random stuff about you.
Sure.
It's quick and easy, and first thing that comes to mind. First of many times on the show, hopefully. We can make this
Thanks.
a thing now if you'd like.
I'll bring another photographer friend with me.
Oh, cool.
Spread the good word.
All right, awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Marc Lacatell. We're going to do rapid fire. Here we go. Start off easy, right? Favorite food?
Ooh.
Maybe not so easy.
Favorite? Probably Mexican food.
Favorite movie?
Ooh, Mozart.
All right.
Amadeus. It's called Amadeus. Yeah, I have to watch that at least once a year.
Okay.
And Trading Places. That's an annual viewing.
Those
as
are
well.
the annual ones?
Yeah.
Favorite venue in the world?
I like photographing at Gillette Stadium.
Really?
Yeah.
The big venue.
Yeah,
Ah.
I like being outside. But I'll just do a shout out for Boston Calling, and we'll just say the Harvard Athletic Center.
There you go.
Because that's the best. That's the best annual trip for me.
Mostly because of our buddy Chris Langley, who introduced us. I remember when he actually grabbed me and said, "You got to meet this guy, Marc. I think you guys would really get along."
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yes.
So this whole thing can be.
We can throw it back to Chris Langley. Yeah.
You've known him a lot longer than I have, right? Don't you guys? Or is it just the festival?
I mean, I got to know him through the festival.
Okay.
I remember the first time I met him, he was ushering in the photographers, and I walk in to check my credentials. I'm like, "Hey, Marc Lacatell, Glad Magazine." He's like, "Oh, Lacatell." And I'm like, "We haven't met yet." He's like, "Oh, Lacatell, he's all set. Go." I'm like, "Okay."
I know that name.
Yeah, and now we are friends.
Yeah.
And again, friendships that have come from
Yeah.
this media circus. But it's awesome.
Yeah, he's a good one. He's one of those guys that makes the experience work for us so well behind the scenes,
Yeah.
which we obviously
Yeah.
appreciate. So thank you, Chris. We'll see you soon.
Yes.
They just posted less than 100 days now from Boston Calling. Crazy.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
coming
yeah.
quick. Thank God,
Yeah.
because we need to warm up.
know.
Favorite concert you've ever been to? Best concert you've been to?
Ooh. All right. Before I was photographing, I always go to Guns N' Roses with Metallica and Faith No More at the old. It wasn't Gillette Stadium then. I think it was it.
The old Foxborough Stadium?
Yeah, was it Foxborough Stadium?
Yeah, with the bleacher seats?
Yeah. And my friend lucked out. He had gotten 12th row center seats, and I was a fan of Guns N' Roses. I didn't care for Metallica at that time.
Yeah.
Faith No More was fine.
Yeah.
Metallica came out, and my jaw dropped. They were just so tight. The music sounded so good. I was instant fan.
Yeah.
I think it had to have been right around the Black Album, so Sad But True and Enter Sandman and all that. And then Guns N' Roses came out, and they were a sloppy mess. And I was disappointed, and that was the second or third time I had seen Guns. And,
So Metallica kind of saved that show for you.
Metallica was fantastic. Yeah,
It's funny.
yeah.
I always say I'm not I like their hits and everything. It's not usually my style of music. That kind of power chord thing and loud.
Yeah.
I usually like a little bit something else, but I have so much respect for them for their journey and
Sure.
their staying power, and some of their songs are just masterpieces in their own way.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
there you go. That's a good answer to that one. Here's who's the toughest person you've ever had to shoot? Is whether it be for movements or is there one person that sticks out?
I will say, so I've photographed Extreme, a half dozen times.
Yeah.
Gary Sharon is really hard to photograph. The
Really?
guy is constantly moving from side to side. And when you're up against the stage, it's not like you can sit back and comfortably watch him go back and forth. You're right there, so he's shooting off to the left, hanging up the side of the stage, shooting off to the right, hanging up the side of the stage. So you're quickly turning and trying to capture him. It's not easy.
Yeah. And they're trying to get some Nuno as well.
Yeah. Nuno's pretty good to photograph. Get a lot of the same poses that he does.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Susan Tedeschi's actually made it kind of hard lately to photograph her. She lets you get close to the stage, but it's usually the side of the stage, so it's hard to get those Derek and Susan shots.
Oh yeah.
I can't think of any. Who else was hard? It's really hard when you don't get a photo pit.
Yeah.
And you feel like you might have to like battle the crowd a little bit, which I just feel like I'm too old to deal with that. So I'll just sit back.
That cut off shirt, you're looking in good shape there.
No,
You're ready to take out anybody.
No. Sadly, there's photographic evidence of it too, which I wish would disappear.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah.
Well, that is cool. Final one. We get a lot of kids actually tune into this show, a lot of the high school kids and all that. What would be the best career advice you ever received?
Ooh.
I like to end the rapid fire with that, but it's kind of a tough rapid fire question.
For photography,
Could be anything.
For anything.
Yeah.
Well, I'll go with some advice I got from a fellow photographer. When you're photographing someone on stage, you're kind of going for that full body shot.
Mm-hmm.
Don't cut off their feet, because the photo looks ridiculous. So there is a whole theory of like where you cut people off for portraits and stuff.
Yeah.
It really does. So get their feet in the shot.
Well, I never would have thought of that.
Yeah, because it just looks like they're on their stumps. You know, it just bends your mind a little bit. And in turn, my advice would be also when you're photographing drummers, make sure you get the sticks in the picture, because otherwise it just looks like they're just sitting behind the kit. It could be anybody.
Sure.
Piano players, really hard. Try and get their hands on the keys.
Yep.
It's really hard. You know, there are some difficult shots to get.
A couple of good ones there. I'm going to think about that every time I take one with myself, my phone here.
Exactly.
As you cringe at my photos.
No, I really don't.
I know, I'm just kidding. Marc Lacatell, this is outstanding, man. Great to have you in. You have great stories. We could probably do this all day, I imagine.
I've got some more. Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's great to have you in. We'll talk more. We'll do it again one of these days, and I'll see you at, I guess, probably Boston Calling might be the next time I see you, and that'll be always a fun day as always. So thank you for coming in,
the media tent.
That's
some
right.
Cold drinks.
Welcome to Newburyport.
Yes.
We'll go. I'll go show you around a little bit. This will be good. Maeve Power, thank you so much for producing the show. Just off the birthday still. We're celebrating birthday month with Maeve Power. That's what we're going to do. Sarah Hayden, the boss, Lily Doucette, Ryan Rothberg, our small but mighty team here in Newburyport. Again, big thanks to Marc Lacatell for joining us, giving us all the concert, photography, stories, all that good stuff, man. That was a lot of fun. My name is Drew Moholland, live at Drew's house. We'll see you next time, everybody. Peace.